if nothing changes, nothing changes. So I'm sure you've heard of that phrase before, and maybe you don't know what it means, but I'll explain it to you real quick. It means that if you don't change anything, nothing will change. So, I mean, if you still don't get that, it means if you don't change the input, the output won't change. So, I'm gonna, like, with the things that I try to change, it's like if you don't change your mental, then, like, the physical outcome, like the physical reward or outcome, like I said, won't change from what it was before you changed your mental. So if you're trying to if you're trying to quit drugs or video games, or stuff like that, then if you don't, like, what I mean by mental is, like, you have to make yourself think that you're something else. So, like, if you think that you're a video gamer and you're trying so hard to quit video games, but you still think you're a video gamer, and you don't think that you don't play video games, you're gonna go straight back to it. So I'm gonna try to explain this. So, like, if I'm trying to quit video games, I have to think of myself as someone who never plays video games, who has stopped playing video games. Like, I'm trying to quit, like, I'm trying to become a successful YouTuber, right? But I already am one. So you see, the physical outcomes just have to catch up with my mental state. Well, I wouldn't say state, but, like, with my head. Because I'm going so fast, it's just the world has to catch up to me, right? YouTube has to catch up to me. So think of this. I have an example that I wrote down right there. So the example is, imagine you're gonna hand someone a cigarette. Don't do this because cigarettes are trash, obviously. But you're handing someone a cigarette and they say, "Oh, no thanks, I'm trying not to smoke." You see how inconfident that sounds? And you can tell that they're just gonna go right back to smoking eventually. But if you say, "Hey man, here's a cigarette," and they say, "No, I don't smoke," you know did you hear and feel the difference between those two? They were the same person, right? But they changed a couple words. Instead of saying, "I'm trying to not smoke," saying, "I don't smoke." It's very simple, actually. You just have to, because your mind is very powerful, right? Obviously. And you are probably convinced that you can't get better, you can't blah, blah, blah. You already are this, and you're going to say this. But if you think, "I already am this, I've already done this, I've already stopped this," then that is very powerful. And it's something that not a lot of people talk about, is the mental. And, like, with habits in my book, Atomic Habits, right there, it says, for habits, you can't think of yourself as someone who, what's a habit? Brushing your teeth. You can't think of yourself as someone who doesn't brush their teeth if you're trying to start brushing your teeth. I know this is a weird example, but it works. So, if you are trying to brush your teeth, you have to convince your mind that you brush your teeth all the time, right? Because then, or, like, also, you have to become the identity you want to be. So say I want to be a person that brushes my teeth. Obviously I brush my teeth, I'm just saying this is an example, right? So I would, because once your ego gets involved, right? Like, because if you're trying to make this your identity, then you're proving to yourself that you can do this, and that it includes your ego, right? So once your ego gets involved, then it gets way more, like, how do I put this? It makes it more bound to happen, you know what I mean? Also, yeah, like I said, with the cigarette thing, just convincing yourself that you don't smoke cigarettes. Excuse that you don't smoke cigarettes. Then your body will, in like the physical outcome, will kind of catch up to that, right? You just have to set in stone your mind. So with this, you can do anything, really. Like, say, I want to become a better three-point shooter in basketball. All I have to do is tell myself and preach and preach and preach and preach to myself, like, over and over and over and over and over. And then it gets set in stone, right? That I make every three I shoot. Oh, that one didn't count, right? Just convincing yourself. Using, like, because your mind doesn't know, right? You know what I'm saying? Your mind doesn't know if, okay, I'll just give an example, because with track and field, like, an event is high jump, and when you visualize, like, jumping over the bar and bending your back, your brain doesn't know that you're not actually doing it, so your brain will just make that brain-body connection, and then you'll be better at doing high jump and, like, bending your back. I know this works because I did high jump, obviously. Well, I wouldn't say obviously, but you could kind of tell by the example. But yeah. So, if you're trying to read more, think of yourself, you're a reader, right? I'm a successful YouTuber with millions of subscribers. I already have millions of subscribers. It's just not here yet, right? I have them. It just isn't here yet. You know what I mean? That's like a super powerful thing, right? So say you're like, okay, so something I do is I journal, right? Very good, you should look into it. I might make a video about it, actually. I think I'll do that. Let me just write that down. Okay. Sorry about that, but yeah. Like, with that, every night, before I go to bed, I'll write down the bad things I've done in the day, the good things, and then I'll analyze them and figure out if there's a common pattern to figure out how or what I'm doing good or bad, right? And then I will also put, like, goals for the next day, but you don't have to do that. But at the very, very end, right before I go to bed, I will write down the things that I want to be. But eventually, well, not even eventually, it's like I am those things. I'll write down, I am a successful YouTuber. I am wealthy. I am an owner of a great physique. I have this, I have that. It just isn't here yet. So, like, say you order something off a website. You have it, just isn't here yet. So it's a similar concept, but with your brain and the physical outcomes. So something you can do right now, just grab a pen or a pencil, and a piece of paper. What are those things called? Where you peel it off as a, like, paper, sticky notes, I think is what it's called. Yeah. You grab a sticky note, and then you will just write who you are. Like, imagine it's your future self writing on that paper, right? I am wealthy. I am successful. I am rich. Well, that's wealthy, I don't know. It's just, I have a great physique. I have a beautiful family. I have this and that. I do this. I do that. So I think you kind of get what I'm saying, but it's very powerful to just use your mind and use your mind's not knowing, like, the difference between real and what you convince yourself as a favor, to use it for good rather than bad, because your mind, it may think that, oh, I can't do this, I'll never be able to do that, oh, but if you convince your mind, I do this, I've done that, I do this all the time, I am him, I am her, I am the person that does this, I'm the person that does this, I'm the person that does this, then your mind won't really know the difference, right? It's just one, to summarize it all up, you have to convince yourself that you are who you want to be, and then you will become that person, right? So, always remember, the hardest part is to start, and I hope this video helped. Peace.